So I was expanding my Paul Williams horizons, getting ready for this interview, and I see this all the music that you've made prior as well, and
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, so you must have a good ear for sound and mics and things like that. You want to sound good.
yeah. Well, this is my music mic, so I've got to have consistency across podcast and music, so people know it's me.
Tell me about the music side of things. Did you start, because like I'm listening to it expecting a certain irreverence or, comedic energy to it. And there is throughout, but there also is just plenty of songs that are just really good songs. Did it start as a serious enterprise?
Um, Music started in high school as a teenager, and it was kind of comedy, but yeah, I don't fully know. I don't think I put too much thought into it and was just kind of just blindly making. They were kind of parody songs, but they weren't that funny. Um, but maybe people found them funnier than maybe I was intending, and then I slowly pivoted to originals, and yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Because there's a certain sincerity to it that is rare for comedians, and then that just then starts to read as kind of an ironic flair for doing music in an ironic sort of way, and then it has almost its own genre in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I've had songs that I write for comedy for stand up, and those are in my mind different. So yeah, I don't really know what to say, but I try and keep the two things kind of separate.
But there was never a goal to be, I'm going to be a serious musician.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, I'd say still very much the goal, and just doing comedy in the meantime until that pays off. But no, there was a long spell, like as a late teens, maybe like university kind of age, where I was just like obsessed with, and high school, where I was obsessed with trying to get a record deal, because that was like always like what you hear, like especially listening to like a lot of like rappers that always talk about like getting their deal, and that's like their big. And it's funny because like looking back now, like I was constantly cold emailing like these different like New Zealand labels and stuff, and I'm like, I actually don't know what they would have even really given me. Like I already had the ability to sort of record songs, and I guess like I don't know. I don't know
What was
what I
what
was.
was your pitch to them? Were you attaching your music to the
Yeah,
email?
definitely. And I even like there was one where I went to a concert actually in Sydney, and I it was Kanye West at the entertainment center down at the Darling Harbour. And I went there with my brother, and we went like 5 hours early to like get at the front. And then I tapped a produce okay, Odd Future, Tyler the
Hmm.
Creator, if you're familiar with him.
Yeah, I
They
just
were
saw
all
him in the movie Marty Supreme.
Marty Supreme, yes,
Mm.
for any cinephiles, check him out in that. But they him and his sort of hip hop collective Odd Future were standing right in front of us.
Wow.
And so I actually tapped one of the members. His name was Left Brain, and I'd brought, just in case, I'd brought a my iPod Nano. It was like a yellow iPod Nano, and I deleted all my music off and only put my music on it. And I tapped
Wow.
him on the shoulder and gave it to him, and I said, "Give it to Kanye," and he said, "Okay," and he put it in his pocket. And
And
so
that
I,
became Odd Future's next album.
yeah, they just put it straight out. They didn't even like re-record it.
Where do you get that sort of confidence from? Because I'm more of a bashful sort of guy. I feel like
Oh
I
no,
would
I've
struggle.
changed. I've changed. That was, as a teenager, I think I had maybe someone asked me that recently. They were like, "Did you because I was like, I'd record a song with a friend, and it would be like the worst thing you've ever heard. And then we would go straight out and record, like shoot the music video immediately after. And then I would like edit it like the next day and put it straight on YouTube. And now I'm
Mhm.
like, man, I've gone so far from that. Where like I'll have something that's like actually like not bad, and I will be like, should I? And it'll be like a photo or something, and I'll be like, should I post this? And it'll take me like 3 weeks, and then I'll finally be like, yeah, I'll post this.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I highly relate to that. Like my early 20s confidence, like I was writing plays and casting my friends and directing the shows, and I do miss a little bit of that because you do
yeah.
become a bit more considered. But I've got to argue the point though that you've written, starred, and composed the music, and I'm sure a bunch of other things for your new show, New Zealand Spy, and I still feel the question remains of where do you get your confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I guess though there I was forced, like, because there was other people involved now. There was producers and networks and contract, like I was contractually obliged to put that out.
Hmm.
Otherwise, like that would still be just on my hard drive, waiting until
Until it
it's
was
perfect.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, tell me
But
about, but you still had to pitch it in the first place. And I just spent yesterday at the Melbourne International Film Festival doing screenwriting is a new world to me and putting myself out there, like doing the tap on the shoulder to Odd Future and going, give my music to Kanye, which is also is so hilarious to skip that producer. It's almost like handing your
yeah,
camera phone to another actor and going, take a photo with me and this actor, which I also
yeah,
have done, which is
yeah.
very awkward.
Same, same. Who did you do it to?
I got to remember his name, but the co-star of the TV show Hannibal,
Ah,
he did a
gotcha.
show with my wife's friend from acting school, and I didn't recognize him at the time because he had a mustache. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, I was like, "What do I know you
Mm.
from?" And I was watching Hannibal at that very time,
Yeah,
so that
wow.
was particularly awkward.
I did it maybe as a 19-year-old with I got a photo with Sir Ian McKellen, who was
Hmm.
shooting
Hmm.
like The Hobbit at the time.
I have one of those as
Uh
well. Let's put them
yeah.
up together.
Yeah. But I got it was the actor Luke Evans took the photo, and yeah,
Oh
didn't
wow!
didn't ask him for a photo. So
Even
sorry,
after
sorry Luke
finding out who he
Evans.
was, you're like, "Nah, that's fine."
Yeah. Well, at the time I was like, he is a star because he was like, he had just movie star like shine and good looks. Like I was
Hmm.
like, he is in my mind, I was like, is that Orlando Bloom? But I was like, it's not. And anyway, I got home and looked it up and was like, okay, it's Luke
I'm sure
Evans.
Luke would have found that refreshing as well. Like this seems like with stars they would be pretty relaxed about it. And now I mean, you're also in a TV show now with a star of Lord of the Rings as well. So Brett
Yeah.
McKenzie was in
Yeah.
there as well. So you and
True.
Luke Evans are the same essentially.
Exactly. Exactly.
But talking about Melbourne International Film Festival, I'm there pitching my show to people and practicing pitching, which is a new thing for me, being exposed and going, oh, is this anything? Does anyone want to work with me? Like that's terrifying to me. I do a lot of stuff in my own little corner. What was the pitch for New Zealand Spy? How did this get made?
I so the actual pitch was so I'd just written it cold, like just on my own. I it started actually a friend was doing a writers group during COVID where you each week there was a different theme and you could write a little short piece or however long you wanted. There weren't really rules. And yeah, the theme I believe was just heat wave. It was always something kind of vague that had a lot of scope.
Hmm.
And I wrote one about the spy in my hometown, Nelson. Um, and then my wife was like, you should write a script based on it. And so I did. And then I sent it to Cam and Bron Backer, who are some producers. They produce Taskmaster New Zealand. And so I know them well. And I just kind of emailed them, which I don't actually think you're supposed to do. Like, I think you're really not supposed to cold send stuff because
Well, I actually, well, I mean, for the listener, I would just say, and I'll tell them more about it down the track. But while we're on the subject, it turns out a lot of these creative producers tell you exactly that. Send us your stuff, which I find
yeah,
freakish in a way because I'm like, what? You want to see things? Surely you don't want to read stuff, but this is their job, is to want to see what's out there.
yeah, yeah. I sent, yeah, okay. I've actually got the email up
Oh,
here.
great.
So
Love it.
I made like, I wrote the script and then of the pilot episode, and then I made I've called it the show Bible, but it was more of just, it was a pitch doc.
Hmm.
And it looks nice. Like I did it all in Photoshop, so it was like a PDF with images and possible casting and series arc and all that kind of thing. And so I just attached those and subject line TV show. And so and so I sent that and they really liked it and were like, let's go.
Were you doing that with an energy of I want to get my record deal, or were you doing this as like, oh, here's something. Oh, I got because once
Yeah,
again, I'm tracking that confidence that you say isn't
yeah.
as bold as it once was.
No, but I guess I had such a long-standing relationship with these guys that it didn't feel scary. It wasn't like I knew that either it would go well or they would kind of um laugh it off as just, I don't know,
Yeah, it's
something
not something
strange
that
that
they're
I'd done.
looking for, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Just
So
let you
like,
know gently.
yeah, I think if I didn't know them, I think I would have been a lot less confident. But
Yeah, and it's the value of having made stuff before, and then I think suddenly everything changes because you're like, oh, stuff has been made. I've been in a thing. Let's do another thing. That there is, I
yeah.
have a track record. I think that must be transformative to one's confidence. Speaking of, so what was it like getting cast in Taskmaster, and like, do you feel like there is like in your life a pre-Taskmaster and post-Taskmaster?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was shocked because I saw that I was a huge Taskmaster fan of the original, and I was actually in New York. I was living in New York briefly at the time, and I was gutted because it had been like announced that it was happening. And I guess at that stage I assumed like everything had kind of been sorted
Hmm.
um in terms of who would be doing it. And then they emailed me and they were like, "Can you do a Zoom sometime?" And they just kind of asked if I would be interested in it, and I was like, "Yeah." I think they knew I was a big fan, so
They knew
that
you
probably
just from
helped.
reputation.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, no. So I did already know them because they produced. Well, Bronwyn especially produced Jono and Ben, which was a long-running New Zealand show. It was basically our only sort of late night. It wasn't late at night. It was like 7:30, but
hmm.
it was like basically a like an
Hamish and Andy
American,
type thing.
yeah, like an American show. It had sketches, it had guests,
Oh,
it
right.
was kind of variety, almost comedy variety show, not variety show, but and my brother had been on that for many years. So they knew me basically through my brother, and I had done the odd little sort of nepotism cameo in his stuff.
Hmm.
But then also they comedy producers almost exclusively, so they would also go see live shows, and I would say doing probably live shows at the New Zealand Festival probably helped a lot because
Hmm.
I'd say they probably came to that, and that's probably so. My I guess my biggest advice would be like keep doing live shows
Yeah,
and
how do you
or
be front of mind?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speaking of your brother, he was in season one of Taskmaster. What was it like being across from your own sibling? For me, I mean, my brother, one of my brothers is a nurse, the other brother's a landscaper. It sort of
Yeah.
boggles my mind that both of your siblings are in
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah, I guess I mean I didn't really have it might have even been stranger if he hadn't been in season 1 because then I would have been like this is very different to how this has gone in the past, but because it was my first rodeo, I guess it was just sort of didn't feel that strange.
Can
But
we track the Williams siblings and like the order in which who joined comedy first? Like who's following in
yeah,
whose footsteps?
so Guy definitely blazed the trail. He moved to Wellington for university, and I remember being in his room, like he was back for like maybe the summer holidays or something, and I was in his room, and he was on his computer, and I picked up a clear file, like a plastic clear file, and I was flicking through it, and there was just like different ticket stubs that he was keeping of shows had been to or something, and then there was an A4 piece of paper. I'm getting too specific, but it was a set list, a running order, sorry, of a
Hmm.
of Raw Comedy Quest in Wellington,
Oh, right.
and
I
his
hosted one
name.
of those last year.
Yeah, wow.
Mhm.
His name was on it, and I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Don't tell mom." Which in retrospect is really weird because like she wouldn't have cared. It's like that's making our mum sound like she was like she was like, "You will not be a comedian."
Yeah,
But
cut to a flashback of there'll be no comedians in this
no,
family.
in retrospect, she was very much our whole lives a huge fan of the arts. She was taking us to me and my sister would do like youth theater musicals and stuff, and she took me to singing lessons all my life, and she played us stand up comedy in the car. Like it was a pretty weird response to be like, "Don't tell mom."
She wanted to
Um,
do it first.
yeah, yeah, it was almost like he was just setting up his like later, like his biopic later down the line,
Hmm.
where it's like
Hmm.
he needs the mum to be like really not supportive. Um, but yeah, so I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Don't tell mum." But I've been doing some, I've started doing some comedy in Wellington, and then when I moved to Wellington, I also did comedy at the same venues. And my sister, I don't fully know her origin, but I think we grew up doing show like musicals and stuff. So we were always doing stuff on stage. But he actually, my brother wasn't. He was more
Yeah,
of
right.
yeah.
Because I met Maria first, and I knew your work and I knew Guy's work, but I hadn't put together the fact that you all have the same surname. Because I also just wouldn't. I mean, it's
I mean,
Williams. It's not the most
yeah,
like
yeah,
rare surname in the world, and she
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, Paul's my brother and Guy's my brother." I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, right, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah."
gets even wilder though. Like Serena and Venus, they're our cousins. Robbie's our uncle. Robin, a different uncle.
Yeah, but I just don't want you to think that like I'm chatting to you to get to, the Venus and the Serena
Yeah,
Empire.
yeah.
This is completely separate from that. I like you for you, Paul.
Okay,
Okay?
thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Because you must just get that a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's nice. It was always nice when I first was starting out, kinda, and like going over because here I was very much known as Guy's brother, because he'd done TV stuff for many years, and then going over to Edinburgh for the first time was so nice because no one knew him over there, and so it
Hmm.
did feel a bit like, wow, I'm my own man over here.
Yeah, I
No
get to
one,
do my own
yeah,
thing. And
yeah, yeah.
like any sibling or nepo sort of situation, you used the term nepo before, is like that feeling of like, well, eventually you do have to do your own thing. It's not gonna,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Um,
what was it like the first season of Taskmaster? And like you get the thing, you get the exciting opportunity of like, oh my God, I like this, I love this show already. Now I'm in the show, but also forming like its own identity in New Zealand. What was that process like to like actually get the opportunity? Because I feel like so
yeah,
many comedians and creators are like, once I get that record deal, once I get that thing, things will be different. And now you're, I was like, given the thing, now you get the thing. Tell me about that
yeah.
experience.
I mean, it was yeah, a dream come true, and really really fun because obviously such a fun show to make. Like I remember distinctly there was just a moment where I was like hiding in a tree, like for a task, and and I was sitting there kind of hearing one of the contestants like yelling off in the distance, like looking for me. They were throwing a frisbee. The task was basically they had to hit me with a frisbee, and every throw of the frisbee they had to put on an item of clothing.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember this one. Someone took ages and ages to find you.
yeah, and I was just sitting in a tree, just having a blast, thinking like this is like this can't be. I can't be getting like paid to do this because like also I would do this for free.
Just don't tell
Uh,
management that.
yeah, yeah, but yeah. So I remember having like that moment of like, wow, this is the dream. But I also yeah, I think just I was such a fan of the show that I was like, got to try and do a good job. So there was like also I guess a bit of pressure of trying to not completely uh screw it up and have it cancelled after the first season.
Yeah, nightmare. Yeah, I mean, it continues to run, and it's so awesome that it just goes from strength to strength. When you're in those moments, like waiting in a tree, because you're also a writer. I'm not sure how much of like your job is as a creative. Does any of that, when you just go, I'm sitting in the tree for the next few hours, are there any parts of your logistic or control brain where you're like, oh, how does this affect scheduling or the rest of the day or shooting for
Yeah,
this episode?
definitely. Yeah, I try not to though, but also there's times where you're like thinking about how the task is going to come together, and you're like, but there's also like little you can really do to control it. But it's more like you'll be sitting there being like, oh, this is great that this person is doing really bad at this because I know that the other four have done really good. So like, you kind of don't want all five to do really good.
Oh, there's nothing more special than those moments when we see four people and they go, all right, we have one more. You're like, okay, this is going to be either really brilliant or really, really slow. What is
Yeah,
it to have? So there must be stuff that ends up on the cutting room floor. Is there any sort of like, because there's no like special features where we've seen cutting room like or cut tasks. Do cut tasks just get like put forward for future seasons, or is there a shared drive across all the Taskmaster
yeah,
of the world of like here's a task that we didn't use?
yeah. No, yeah, we definitely reuse stuff. If something gets dropped, I'll be like, oh, it's usually like for a reason.
Hmm.
Like, oh, there was one part of the wording that wasn't quite right, but if I tweak it for next season, like that'll be good.
It's
And
ironclad now.
yeah, yeah, but also sometimes that doesn't work out again, and you're like, okay, no, it was just fundamentally a flawed task. But yeah, I think yeah, it's a shame that sometimes they do just get dropped because there's not the time, and
What
it's a
what is it
shame.
to write a task? What is the process of inventing a task and testing it
Yeah,
out and that sort of thing?
I generally just throughout the year, if I think of something, I'll write it in my phone, and then it's just making a big sort of Google spreadsheet of every idea, and just I think initially just going quantity over quality,
Hmm.
and then going through and being like, okay, that's gold, like green that already.
Hmm.
That one is like often sometimes it's like that's like half a good idea, but if we combine it with like that one, then that's gold. Like, like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so that's why I think just like doing that huge like every idea, no idea is a bad idea. Everything, just write every thought down, and then sometimes that can be like added to something, or yeah,
Do
but
you
it's a
ever
lot of
feel
fun.
like you've gone like, oh, I've given just like the props and departments just a lot of, a lot of work now for this stupid idea? Or are
Definitely,
they all
yeah.
excited about it?
I think everyone's like having like a pretty fun time. Like I think art department having fun most of the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, there are times like this season, like they were a bit stressed because of like how soon the house was, and how just because of New Zealand Spy and the timing, like there was less probably time for them to prep stuff, and so
Yeah,
they were like,
tell me about that. Like, what's an average year in Paul Williams' life? Especially now adding in shooting a
yeah.
TV show alongside this TV show.
Historically, at least for the last sort of 7 years, like the first few months have been really busy with Taskmaster. And then the second half of the year is kind of more like going and doing Edinburgh, and I have a lot more free time to sort of just write stand up and stuff like that,
Hmm.
or write the New Zealand Spy pilot to pitch, or anything like that. But yeah, usually I have a few really intense months at the start of the year, sort of, and that leads up to kind of Melbourne Festival as well, and New Zealand Festival. But then this year was like on steroids because it was I also was doing New Zealand Spy, which we shot like late last year, but then all the sort of post was happening this year, like yeah, early. So it was kind of happening at the same time as Taskmaster. And
Wow.
so I'd be like working on Taskmaster downstairs, and then like run upstairs to like give some notes on like the edit of New Zealand Spy, and then kind of like, for 10 minutes, and then pop back down to like but I so that's why I didn't do any live festivals this year because I was like, it's when am I going to write my show for Melbourne if I'm
Yeah, you would have
like
been crushed.
it
What
would have been
what
yeah.
are you able to enjoy it when you're that when you're that overworked?
Uh yeah, I think it's a roller coaster. Like there's moments where it was like, oh, this is a nightmare, and then, but it was still just so fun. Like when you're doing fun stuff, it's always fun. But there was definitely times where it was like, okay, today I have way too much that I need to do. And when you're definitely probably undiagnosed ADHD, um,
You
it's
know,
tough.
you can get the diagnosis if you
I
want it.
know, I know. I think honestly, I think I'm so ADHD that it's even tough to like schedule in like
Oh,
the test.
it took me 2 years, and now you've given
Yeah,
yourself a lot of stuff to get in the way of doing it. So you've just
yeah.
built your life to prevent you from doing it. Well,
Also,
tell me, yeah,
I'm lucky that both siblings now have been diagnosed. So if I do need the medication, I can
yeah. Oh, you can do a little trial. I'm familiar with the
a little
trial
try.
phase. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but do you have moments like that when like you're doing so much of the work where you go, oh, maybe I also won't be the composer on this show? Like, do you
Yeah.
feel like oh, maybe I'll dial it back just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And it did kind of. I'd say a Wellington composer, Stephen Gallagher, he stepped in and took sort of and I think the producers kind of knew. Luckily, because they also produced Taskmaster, they
Hmm.
they knew how busy I was, and they were like, we should bring in someone else to do kind of two-thirds to three-quarters of the score, and
Hmm.
you can still do a chunk, so you're not,
Sensible.
yeah. But also if there was a season two, I might relinquish some of the composing.
I hope there's a season two because I've watched the first 3 episodes of season one and I'm so impressed. Like from the first moment, I'm going, holy shit, this show's got a budget. Like I expected it to be a little bit like, did you ever see Danger Five back in the day?
Danger Five, is that are they the Adelaide guys who
Yeah,
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 I saw some and I thought it was so cool like years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
It was the same guys that did Italian Spider-Man, who, if I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
mistaken, are just they're now doing a show at a movie at Melbourne International Film Festival called The Fox, if I've gotten my
Oh, cool.
details correct. Someone can correct me if they want to. I
Yeah.
dare you, listener, to correct
Yeah.
me. But
Yeah.
I sort of expected there to be, oh, they'll do a low budget, like look how low our budget is, sort of gag of it'll be that sort of
Right.
gag. So when it's open on like a Bond style ski chase, I was going, oh, this is quite good. And they're not poking fun at we've got a low budget. They're trying to look as slick as possible. What was it for you that like was that a very deliberate thing of going, I want this to look slick?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I always like when stuff kind of like looks nice, and I think like it's getting easier and easier to do that with, I don't know, just the cameras now that you can buy like that aren't insanely expensive, that can you can make stuff look nice. But
But you've got
yeah,
stunts and spectacle and real
yeah.
locations. Like you don't even see that with Hollywood production seeing real locations anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I was actually, I guess I was way overly ambitious with the locations where like it got really stripped back to where it was still. I'm glad to hear that it seemed ambitious because it was like I wanted to shoot it all around New Zealand, and like it just wasn't maybe fully realistic with how big the crew was and all the stuff that you move. Like there was a makeup truck and stuff. And I was a little bit like, I guess in my mind, I was seeing it shot a bit more guerrilla styles where all the money would go into sort of locations and that kind of thing. And makeup would be more like, you do your own makeup kind of thing.
Yeah. We'll figure that. But you're from the musical
Yeah.
theater world, the indie
Yeah,
theater.
sort your own costume and makeup, and yeah, but so anyway, it got stripped back a bit location wise, but still to a place where like I guess it's still got a bit of like that
Yeah,
wow factor.
it looks great. It's so refreshing. It feels tactile. The costumes are so impressive, and then you've got an incredible cast as well. How many of these people are friends that you're just calling in favors for versus like how much like it just is incredible that you
Yeah.
got. I want to list off for the listener like people like Rose Matafeo, Joe Thomas, Brett McKenzie, Sam Campbell, Claudio Doherty, Tony Armstrong, just to name a few. How do you
Yeah.
cast that?
Yeah, it was a mixture of definitely of friends, sort of, I guess, doing me maybe a solid, and people I didn't know who I don't know were just being cool. But yeah, so Rose is one of my longest and best friends, and Sam Campbell would be one of my best friends, and then uh, who else? I mean, yeah, I know Tim Key is a friend.
Because even like scheduling and such, like you might have all these wonderful friends that are in show business, but then to make it work for like, Sam and Rose and Tim are very
Yeah,
busy people as well.
no, definitely, and they really did me solids. Like, Sam had just done shows in Australia, so he was kind of nearby at least to come to pop over. But he actually extended his stay, which was very nice. And he just sort of like hung out on set a bit, and which was good. Like he's a great vibe to have around, and sort of just to be like, oh, you should say this line there, which is very handy. And then Tim Key, huge favor. Like I kind of pitched it to him like because he told me in the UK he was like really he hadn't been to New Zealand, so I was like when I messaged him to do it, I was like, oh, like come. I was like showing him some of our finest hotels and be like, you could stay at any of these, and like we'll we'll go to Queenstown and stuff. And then ultimately for scheduling, he came for basically 2 days. Like he flew all the
Oh
way from the
shit.
UK, like
Nightmare.
like a day of filming, and then I took him to see like a waterfall, like one waterfall, and then he like had to get on a plane and like go home. And Tony Armstrong is a friend as well, and was he also had some scheduling stuff that he was just so nice. Like he was like, I really want to do it, so like
I've
I'll
never seen Tony act before, and he looks so
yeah.
good on
Oh
screen.
yeah, I mean yeah, he's got like he's blessed with like movie star good looks. I think because
Yeah,
like him in
yeah.
like the leather jacket, it's like wow, yeah,
Yeah, him holding
get
a
him a
gun
call.
just looks cool. I'm like, give him like a John Wick series now.
Oh, definitely. And
Mm.
Andy Lee's the same. Where you're like, okay, get these guys to Hollywood because they look so good.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot can be done with just a strong jawline, it turns out, and to compliment you yourself as well. And like to come back to the running theme of confidence, I was asked this yesterday when I was pitching my show to someone. They said, and are you picturing you and your wife to play these two leads? And I was like, well, yeah, but like if someone else was to like if we got someone else, like I was like
Yeah.
talking myself out of this sort of
I
thing.
yeah.
How do you feel about like going, this is me, this is a
I
vehicle
mean,
for me, I'm
yeah.
doing this for me and my mates?
I mean, I didn't. I that was not my vibe at all. My vibe was very much I could do it, or like in the doc, I think I pitched a few people to play the
Hmm.
role, and then even I remember talking to them and being like, I mean, it was still a lot of confidence, but I was almost like I would love to direct it and maybe
Hmm.
not be in it. And I think they were a bit more like, you should be in it and absolutely not direct it. Yeah.
Yeah, fair. And you do the central character is so good and is immediately really clear. I think you've set it up so beautifully from the top, and this is not spoiling anything, but just the mere fact that you've applied for the job, your character should not get it, but only three people applied and there's five positions available, and so you just get it is great and it just works and we're immediately thrown into the fun of the show. How much does the first like pilot that you submitted to the producers match what ended up on screen?
Um, a lot. Yeah, the first episode I didn't change much at all. And in retrospect I probably should have. But I
Because then you wrote all the episodes, is that right? Like tell me,
I
was
did
there a writer's room
yeah.
or like
No.
feedback?
No, again, I kind of just did it. There was definitely feedback from the producers and from TVNZ, the New Zealand network. Um and and then I did like a day sort of unofficially where like Rose and but that was all more just like she was like, oh, I think it was more like shouldn't this character be like it was just like more like logical stuff
Hmm.
Uh, and then I did a day with Sam in London. Again, it was very, I was saying like we did a day, like it was more just like we were just hanging out. And
It wasn't like on the books, like we've hired
like
you for this
yeah,
period of
like I
time.
don't know if they got paid for these days.
Mm.
But but yeah, Sam was more like pitching like kind of jokes, which I basically just used all of them. Um and then
There are some Campbell-esque moments in here,
for
even when he's
sure.
not on screen,
Yeah.
which are it's delightful. It's really, really funny.
Yeah. But and then the other things that were changed were like network stuff, or there was one thing where like someone didn't want to smoke, so like I there was a scene that was very based around cigarettes, so like I got rid of that. Yeah, stuff
How
like
are
that.
you at those sort of problem-solving moments and looking for other solutions?
I think it depends on the context because there were times where I would not handle it well. Like even in the edit, there was one scene that I really liked where it's in episode 3 where Claudia does this like really horrible voice, and
In the
it's
role play
yeah, the
scenario.
role play scene, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
scene was like probably 4 times as long, maybe, and the network like hated it, and she was like, yeah, she was like her voice is grating, and I was like, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah. And and so that scene was like going to get cut because the network hated it so much, and I was like didn't handle that well at all because I was like that's like and it got cut down to almost nothing.
Hmm.
And I was annoyed by that, but I was like, well, at least it's kind of like still in there in a way. And then when we did a screening for like sort of cast and crew and friends, and it went really, it was like got one of the biggest laughs, and I was like, man, if they saw the rest of that scene.
Yeah, how do
So
you know?
yeah,
How do you know when you've got that could be like an iconic scene if it was allowed to run a little bit longer? Like
exactly.
it's like
Yeah,
cutting the night scene from Holy Grail. Like, what if we just cut off two of his limbs? It's like, no, it's only
exactly.
funny if all of the limbs come off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so there was moments like with the notes where I'd handle it like I'd be annoyed, but then there's also moments where it's like this person doesn't want to be seen with cigarettes, and you're like, yeah, fair enough. I'll change that to
Mm.
something else. Yeah,
When it comes to because you're doing a lot by yourself, there's almost like I dare I say auteur thing going on. Is like, do you have like who are your sounding boards and who do you sort of like, let off some steam via?
yeah. I guess like people like Sam and Rose and my wife Simone, who I think all the people I kind of share maybe taste certain levels of comedic taste with.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'd say that would be maybe it. But also I think with comedy, you've kind of got to, I think, at some point trust your instincts and and I actually think often my instincts my I think my sense of humor does not line up with maybe the majority of the world, but with a few people it will. And I think with comedy, I think you got to trust your instincts
So
a
it's
bit.
out now on ABC iView. It's been on New Zealand TV for a little while. What was it like putting it out into the world? And did it? d- there's the old cliche of there's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you edit. Like, what was it to then like see the final product and go, oh, this is what we have, and this is what we're putting out into the world?
Yeah. You lose perspective a little bit. Like by the end, you need to remember what like because the first time I saw like in the first episode, like even there's just a bit where I fall over, like and like the first time I saw the cut of that, like I laughed a lot. And so like you got to remember like what it was like the first time because by the end, by the time it's coming out, you're like, I mean, I've just seen every bit like 1,000 times,
Yeah,
and
can we add a sound effect on that? I don't know if the fall is funny anymore.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know, but you've just got to yeah, I don't know. Remember that first time. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying now.
That fall, if we're talking about the ski fall, almost looked like a accidental fall that then was
Yeah,
integrated in.
well, I was quite adamant on the day because I think like
Was that you skiing? That wasn't you skiing, surely.
parts of me skiing, it was a mix, it was a blend of me
Oh
skiing
wow.
and a stunt guy who was amazing. He was the MVP of the Queen's, like he was so good. Um But anyway, he the wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that with the fall, like initially Tim, I really wanted it to look kind of quite. I'm glad it looks kind of as real as possible because that's what I wanted. Like I think the director Tim initially was like he was talking about like the different angles of cutting like and stuff, and I was like, oh no, I saw it like kind of far away, almost shot like sport, like with like a zoom, um, like as realistic as possible, not where it's like it cuts in on a close of the ski hitting a rock or
Mm.
something, and then it cuts to the fall, and then like yeah. So that anyway,
Yeah,
that was a taste thing.
no, I like that. It's more subtle and less of that American guy who stacks. We've seen enough American movies where someone falls over that there needs the New Zealand fall. It's a more
Yeah,
subtle kind
yeah.
of comedy. That's what we're looking for.
And I love someone falling, and I think if there is a season two, there's going to be way
I mean,
worse.
the season episode one just ends on that looked like an incredible stunt with the continual fall. How many times did you film the?
That was one. That was
Wow.
one, and I think just because there's when you are filming something sort of with like a budget and a crew and stuff, there is like insurance stuff with safety, and I almost think if there was a season two, I would maybe write less of these falls into the script because what I learned is that anything that's even remotely got any element of physicalness, physicality, I guess, is that it will be deemed a stunt. And I
Right.
kept being like, that's not a stunt. Like even like there was moments where it's like I wrote like does a crouched run, and they'd be like, so for that stunt, and I'd be like, that's not a stunt. We cannot be calling that a stunt. And because then
Yeah, but it sort of means that you'll talk yourself out of doing silly things. Like there's
yes, no,
something
but
really nice about
here's my
yeah.
thing is like don't write it in and then just
Mhm.
do it on the day. So
Hell
instead of
yeah.
writing he falls over, I'll just on the day fall over, and then we don't need to worry about all these health and safety hula hoops.
Hell yeah, and don't worry, Paul. I'll cut this out of the podcast. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's
They
big
won't see it
wigs. They
coming.
they won't hear this part and be like
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
out for
yeah.
it on the day and be like, what are you planning on
I
doing?
I actually really got in trouble because there was one day where I had to. It was written that I swim up with a snorkel to the beach, and step up out of the water on the beach, and water was a big thing where like health and safety. They were like there was also a scene in a pool in episode one that got cut because of like it was going to be health and safety in the water and stuff. And
Hmm.
and anyway, this scene they were like, yeah, we'll get. And then on the day, the director was like, we can't do you swimming up. And I was like, what? Like, and I actually think maybe that had been withheld from me because they knew I was going to be like, we got to get health and safety. Like, this is the scene.
Yeah,
Um,
you got to do your
and
iconic James Bond out of the water scene.
exactly, yeah. So he was like, so here's what we'll do. You can stand in ankle deep in the water. That's fine, and you'll be in the wetsuit and the snorkel, and we'll start on the top of the snorkel and we'll just pan down to you. And I was like, that's bad.
That's not iconic.
Yeah. And so anyway, so I asked the on set producer, I was like, can you call the powers, the big wigs and ask if I can stand in knee deep water. I was like, can I lie down in ankle deep water? And then stand up from that. And she was like, I'll go call them. And she goes to call them and she's on the phone for ages. Meanwhile, we've got to shoot the scene. And so like I'm kind of like I'm standing in knee deep, sorry, like sort of calf deep.
Mm.
And I'm like, we do the first take, and I think I kind of just like because I haven't got my answer, I'm like, well, no one's like the health and safety guy is kind of standing there. Also, I'm like in the shallowest water ever in a lake, and there's 100 people looking at me, and I'm wearing a wetsuit, which means I couldn't sink if I wanted to, and I
Hmm.
have a snorkel to breathe underwater. And so I'm like slowly kind of crouched down. So I'm like a ball in the water. And we do a take, and no one says it like, don't do that. So I'm like, okay. So the next time I like push it out, I go like slightly deeper and kind of do the same again. And then the third take, I'm like putting my head under. And then like the fourth take, I'm like extending my legs a bit and doing some kicking. And anyway, and eventually,
Eventually, you're
and
just swimming in the water.
I mean, essentially, yeah. And, but I'm in like barely any water. And then anyway, one of the line producer, it turned out I thought it was fine, and then later I found out he was furious.
He
And
was he got fired.
yeah, and no, he didn't get fired, but I was like very apologetic because I was like, I would definitely would have stopped if someone had said,
Mm,
like, I think I kind of got the vibe that everyone was like, this is good, like, this is good, and we're turning a
yeah.
blind eye. But anyway,
That must be
I
so frustrating, especially coming from like the fringe world where you just do your thing, and as you say, you do your own makeup, you do your own this, you do your own
definitely,
that. The
yeah,
the I've been on only a handful of film sets, but the pace of it I find so challenging. Before we wind down, I do want to ask you just in relation to like health and safety and like what we don't see off screen, and without taking away any of the magic. When you're on Taskmaster, it's filmed in such a way or presented in such a way of like this is someone just going for it. But there must be moments where someone gets tapped and goes, "Hey, do not do that." You know, your David
yeah,
Correoses and such must get tapped, and also you when you're invited by one of the contestants to do something crazy, there must be a safety person off screen.
yeah. It was in after season two. There was an injury that we did get more careful after a comedian broke their collarbone riding a
Wow,
bike off a jump. Um,
right, that sounds
and
familiar.
yes, and since then it's maybe been a bit stricter, but it's still like, yeah. There was also once a task dropped because someone had the task was to repurpose this. It was like a just a fan, like a
Hmm.
stand up
A pedestal fan, yeah.
oscillating pedestal fan.
Hmm.
And they basically had to just repurpose it, and it was basically best repurposing wins. And someone made this little like relaxation station where it was basically just a chair with the fan sort of taped to it and an iPad playing TV, and then through the fan was a hose spraying water, and it was cut because it was like an electrical safety thing, but it was a little bit like it's already been filmed and like
Yeah, and no one
the
was
danger,
electrocuted.
yeah, the danger's done now. But I think it was like, you know, copycat,
Yeah, it might give someone
copycat.
ideas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you had your
Um,
first death because of Taskmaster.
exactly, exactly. But also at the time, like we were cautious that water going through an electrical thing was a risk, so we were like wary of it and um keeping an eye on not doing it for long and not going through the like electrical part of the fan, like um but yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Don't
never
try this
been,
at home, kids.
yeah, I don't think there's been that much stuff that's been like, oh, you can't do that. There is like the odd thing like someone will be like, oh, I'm gonna go on the roof of the caravan, and that's like just a blanket rule, like you kind of can't do that.
I guess my
Just,
question is it as fun as it looks? Are you
I
able to
mean,
have as much
yeah,
fun as it
I
looks?
I think definitely, yeah, and I think like that's always something the comedians generally say after doing it is like, I wasn't sure if it was going to be as fun as it looks, and it was. And I'm always glad to hear that because I think you'll want, and I think the show, that's why the show works, is because it is so fun to do um as a contestant. And
I'm a big fan of the series. Tell me when is the next one coming out? Have we announced the cast yet?
the cast has not been announced, and I believe it usually plays around now, but I think because I'm usually in Edinburgh when it starts airing, but it is a little later this year, and I'm not sure why, but I think I initially heard September, so like it can't be too far
It must
away.
be any minute now. This episode's
Yeah,
going to come out today, so we can't do any
yeah, right.
when is this coming out? I'll announce,
Um,
but it's all shot and in the can, as
it's
they
in the
say.
can and great cast. I think, I mean, it was a blur, but from what I do remember, great season. Um, some good tasks. Yeah,
I'm so excited to see it. And so you're saying about if we do a New Zealand spy, season two. When would one hear more about that? Like, what do you
Mm.
need to hear? What do they need to hear? How does that sort of side of things work?
Yeah, I don't know, but
Do you want to
I,
do it? Like it was. I mean, it
yeah,
must have been
I
such an
no,
undertaking.
yeah, I really want to do it, but I think it would need, there's a lot of like, because it was also like it was like a co-pro kind of thing where like we were getting a bit of New Zealand funding, and then there was a little bit of Australian funding from the ABC and a bit of funding from the BBC studios, and so it is like a big puzzle to put that together. And I think yeah, currently don't know, but I think maybe New Zealand need to hear about New Zealand funding.
Hmm.
Is fingers crossed. Yeah, if you
Would I
liked
mean,
it,
as someone as enterprising as you, would you be the sort of person that like you've already started writing outlines for season two? Would that be part of your
yeah.
pitch as well when you pitch
Um,
season one of like season two ideas?
yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about it constantly, and I have general ideas of what the kind of plot would be, but I haven't fully, in case it doesn't happen. I don't want to like write the scripts and then it not happen. I think that would
Hmm.
be too disappointing. So I think I'm gonna leave it at like I've thought about it a lot and I've got like sort of strong ideas of what it would be. But also if the producers are like it would help if you wrote the first two episodes, I'll definitely just easily do that because it's very fun. Anyone who hasn't written a TV script, um, I would do it. It's even just it's just fun. Like
It is,
it's
and like even if you just end up doing a table read with your friends, like it's still like, oh, that exists now.
yeah, definitely. Like there's no downside to it. Other than I guess if you put a lot of time into it. But you'll have fun and you'll learn and it's good just to have as something to send, if you're trying to get a manager or
Yeah,
something.
and if
I
it
don't know.
doesn't end up being shot, you can always turn it into a high concept album that you put onto an iPod and hand to a member of Odd Future.
Exactly.
Mm.
Honestly, recording a TV show script as an audio play, I think that's like a medium that maybe I don't think enough people are doing.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
like,
hey, it'll probably be what I do with my TV show. Not to say that whether it gets picked up or not, it would just be good so I can just hear it and
mm,
practice it.
yeah, and you've got the mic. I can see it in front
Yeah,
of you
I got the Shore right here.
for sure. Um,
Hey, Paul, this was a delightful time hanging out. Tell people who are uninitiated where they can find more of Paul Williams' stuff.
Thanks so much for having me, firstly. Secondly, you can find more stuff. I mean,
You're on Spotify, you're on
I'm on Spotify.
YouTube.
Yeah, sorry. I'm on Spotify. Paul Williams. There's a few, but one of the Paul Williams is on Spotify. Follow me on Instagram, I guess, would be a big one. New Zealand Spy is out in Australia on ABC, iView, and New Zealand on TVNZ Plus. Hopefully, it'll come out in the UK soon, but I don't know for sure. And then, yeah, that's the big ones
Any
probably.
any live things coming up?
Currently, no, but I think next year
How's your Edinburgh FOMO right now?
it's bad. Yeah,
I got to get off Instagram. I keep clicking on something like, oh, it don't look so fun.
yeah, it's bad. Yeah, I think my Instagram looking has skyrocketed the last like week, but
Yeah.
which is yeah detrimental to my mental health. But
I mean, we're all happy for you, all the people in Edinburgh right now.
yeah, but no, I'm excited to. I'd say next year I'll hopefully be back in Melbourne and Edinburgh, and I did actually do the New Zealand Comedy Fest this year. So, but I'll hopefully be back there as well.
Oh, hell yeah. I look forward
Yeah.
to crossing paths in the future.